With us from Boston, Senator John Kerry. With us from Clemson, South Carolina, Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Kerry, I want to begin with you because you are a big supporter now of Barack Obama. Senator Obama's been saying he'll begin an immediate withdrawal of the American forces in Iraq once he becomes president. If he does, here's the way he put it back in March.
In order to end this war responsibly, I will immediately begin to remove our troops from Iraq. We can responsibly remove 1 to 2 combat brigades each month. If we start with the number of brigades we have in Iraq today, we can remove all of them in 16 months.
But last week, he seemed to have a slightly different take. Here's what he said last week.
When I go to Iraq and I have a chance to talk to some of the commanders on the ground, I'm sure I'll have more information and we'll continue to refine my policies.
So, is this the change in policy? Some in the McCain campaign go so far as to say it is a flip-flop. Senator Kerry, explain for us.
Well, the Republicans and John McCain specifically are trying desperately to get away from the reality of John McCain's position, which is that he has a plan for staying in Iraq and Barack Obama has a plan for getting out of Iraq. Barack Obama has a plan for ending the war. John McCain has a plan for continuing the war. And he has said so very clearly dozens and dozens of times. What the McCain campaign is trying to do is take the normal statement of anybody smart enough to be president of the United States and ready to be president, who says he'll may refine tactically what you might decide to do over the course of that withdrawal and how you protect American troops and how you in fact get the Iraqi army to stand up faster. But it is no change whatsoever in his fundamental determination to end the war. John McCain, on the other hand, has proven that he's been wrong about every judgment he's made about the war. Wrong about the Iraqis paying for the reconstruction, wrong about whether or not the oil would pay for it, wrong about Sunni and Shia violence through the years, wrong about the willingness of the Iraqis to stand up for themselves, wrong even about his own judgment about timelines, et cetera, which he's now changed.
All right,
so
well, let's
Bob, the bottom line is they're trying very hard to make an issue where there really isn't one and where the contrast could not be more forceful.
All right, well, let's go to Senator Graham here because, Senator, what Barack Obama is saying here, he's saying he's going to listen to the commanders on the ground. That is exactly what Senator McCain has been telling him he ought to do. But instead of saying, that's a good thing you've done there, Senator, the people in your campaign are now saying this is some kind of a flip-flop. Here he goes, shifting his position again. Why has the campaign come down so hard on him about this?
Well, I hope he will go to Iraq and listen to the commanders and evaluate the progress. He hasn't been since January 2006. And I guess what disturbs most of us here is that during the primary season, he was as hard over as you could be about leaving Iraq, ending the war now. We've been hard over about winning the war. John McCain has come up with a strategy called the surge, Bob, that worked. Senator Obama said not only would it work, it would make things worse. He's had a position on Iraq that's been a very strong political calculation. That is that I'm going to align myself with MoveOn.org. I'm going to let everybody on the left know I'm going to end this war. 2 weeks ago, he meets with the foreign minister in Iraq. The foreign minister begs him not to implement this irresponsible plan and announces to the world that after talking with Senator Obama, he thinks Senator Obama and McCain are on the same sheet of music. He holds a second news conference after everybody jumps on him about changing his position about listening to commanders. And here's what he says shortly after the first news conference. Let me be clear as I can be. I intend to end this war. My first day in office, I will bring the Joint Chiefs of Staff in and I will give them a new mission. That is to end the war responsibly, deliberately, but decisively. So I don't know what he's going to do. He's in a box. He ran hard to the left during the primary. The surge, he said, would fail. It's worked. He's now going to Iraq after 2.5 years, and he's in a box. If he comes back from Iraq and says this thing hasn't worked, you need to pull all the troops out, he will look irresponsible, and he doesn't know how to handle that.
All right. Well, let me go back to Senator
Well,
Kerry.
Bob,
Let me just say one thing, because I was very struck, Senator Kerry, by the line you took just now. I remember back in 2004 when you were thinking seriously, people were talking about you adding John McCain, a Republican, as your running mate. Now, it didn't come down to that, and we all know that, but that was the talk, and there was serious consideration, I know. Yet now, you're being very hard, it seems to me. This is not the first time you've said that John McCain didn't understand the lessons of 9/11. You've said he didn't understand the Middle East. What's happened here? Has John McCain changed, or have you changed?
Yes.
What's
John
happened
McCain.
here? John McCain.
John McCain has changed in profound and fundamental ways that I find personally really surprising and frankly upsetting. It is not the John McCain as the senator who defined himself, quote, as a maverick, though questionable. This is a different John McCain. This is, not the Senator John McCain. This is nomination John McCain. This is wannabe President John McCain. And the result is that John McCain has flip-flopped on more issues than, I was even ever accused possibly of thinking about. I mean, this is extraordinary what he's done. He's changed on taxes. He's now in favor of the Bush tax cut. If you like the Bush economy, if you like the Bush tax cut and what it's done to our economy, making wealthier people wealthier and the average middle class struggle harder, then John McCain's going to give you a third term of George Bush and Karl Rove. If you like what has happened to oil prices, John McCain is going to continue that policy. If you like what you've seen about health care, John McCain has no health care plan. I would have at least expected the John McCain that I knew back then to realize what almost every person in the Pentagon has admitted. I mean, Bob, you're a smart guy. You talk to these people and watch. Very few people will walk around and say, going into Iraq was the right thing to do and we should have done it. I'll do it again if I had the chance. John McCain does. John McCain is the right decision.
Well,
he said, you can't, I have to tell you, Bob, I just came back from the Middle East. I just met with the King of Saudi Arabia. I met with President Mubarak of Egypt. I met with others. You know what they said to me? They said, you, America, have served up to Iraq on a platter. They are outraged by the sort of, ineptitude of what has been done by those who decided it was smart to go into Iraq.
Let me just ask you one question here. Because we are going to talk about, are you now challenging Senator McCain's integrity?
I'm challenging Senator McCain's judgment. His judgment that says there's no violence history between Sunni and Shia. That's wrong. His judgment that says this is going to increase the stability of the Middle East. It hasn't. It's made it less stable. The judgment that says this will, quote, this will be the best thing for America and the world in a long time. It's the worst thing that we've done in a long time. And he's turned his eye away from Afghanistan and Al-Qaeda and made America less safe. That's dangerous for our country.